Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of the students that are attending the seminar. Thank you for taking the time to find out more about Discovery and the opportunities that they have. I'd like to especially welcome the guests that we have from Discovery. We've got Jamie Whittaker with us, Lerato Sebogodi, Viashen, and also Samishta. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you guys and thank you very much for taking the time to come and speak to us. Before I hand over to Jamie, who's going to launch us into this presentation, I'd like to say that please do engage with us. At the end of the presentation, we are going to have a question and answer session. However, you can write your questions in the chat in the meantime. And as some thoughts occur to you, and we will read out your questions at the end, in addition to taking some questions from the floor. So without further ado, Jamie, well, first of all, before I even call on you, Jamie is the Chief Information Officer of the Systems of Engagement Department within Discovery. And yeah, welcome, Jamie. You can take it away.
Great, thanks very much. Just trying to share my screen here. Getting Zoom error messages. We typically use Teams at Discovery. So whenever it's gonna have to ask, it's asking me to quit and reopen. Apologies. So in order for me to share, I'm gonna have to leave for a second. Just give me a moment.
Okay, no problem.
There we go. Okay, good. Let's try that again. All right, just give me one moment. Can everyone see my screen?
No, we can see you.
Okay, let's try that again. Share. How about now?
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Yeah. Perfect. Sorry about that. As I said, we're Teams people, not Zoom people at Discovery. Fortunately, yeah, we managed to navigate that. Yeah, so as introduced, my name is Jamie Whittaker. I'm the CIO for an area within Discovery which manages shared services. Those services include all applications which are enable us to engage with our members outside of Discovery. So that's everything from web, mobile, virtual assistant, WhatsApp, CRM, telephony, in and outbound, email, SMS, push, print, fax, everything that helps us interact between Discovery and our communities outside of Discovery, of which there are 4 primary. The biggest of which is obviously our member community, but then we also have providers, employer groups, and intermediaries or brokers, those people that sell our products on our behalf. So I'm going to go quickly through what Discovery, some information about Discovery, some general information, and then I'm going to go into some details around the Gradhack itself. So at Discovery, we've grown over the last 34, 35, 30, 31. where are we at? 1994, 1993 we started. So that'll be 31 years. And we are now a truly global organization, operational in over 40 markets across the globe. Our biggest operations are here, obviously in South Africa, in America, and then in the UK. The UK probably being the second largest after ourselves. In the UK, we are branded differently. We are called Vitality, not Discovery. So if any of you are Premier League football fans, you've probably seen some of our branding on screen. The big reason for that, and maybe I shouldn't share this with you, but the very big reason for that is the CEO of the company, Neville Kupowitz in the UK, is a massive Premier League fan. I think he's a Aston Villa supporters. So that's the main reason why we support and sponsor in South Africa the viewing rights for the Premier League. As I mentioned, here in South Africa, we've got 6 primary businesses. That's Health, Invest, Life Insure, Bank, and then Vitality. The 3 biggest of those are probably, at the moment at least, they are Health and Life, followed shortly by Vitality, but Bank is very, very rapidly catching up on those. The first business that we launched back in '93 was the health product. Some of you, or at least your parents, may be members of the Discovery Health products, and hopefully also Vitality, which is one of the preeminent behavioral change program globally, with a number of business cases being written about us by the likes of Harvard Business School and others. We also have a presence over in Asia Pacific with a partnership with Ping An Health, which Ping An being the largest insurer or second largest insurer in China and the local region. Interesting piece of information about them. They are so large, they literally have 1 million brokers. That means they have 1 million people selling their product. It's just a massive undertaking. And we also have operations in Australia, Japan, and New Zealand. Our group structure, we are, as I said, we have the primary function here in South Africa, and then the UK composite, where we have life only and health products. And then across the rest of the globe, we primarily sell or partner our Vitality, our wellness product, with individual businesses' insurance products. We are based in Sandton, One Discovery Place. I've got a short video to show you. I'm going to hopefully mute the sound. Let me do that. I'm also going to skip forward a bit. So the building is fairly sizable. There's actually 3 buildings joined together. It is the greenest building in the Southern Hemisphere. That means that we meet all of our environmental friendly sort of targets. We have got a 8 floors of building, and then we have 8 floors of parking underneath our building. So we're, as tall as we are, that's how deep we go as well. We have a 600-meter running track on the roof, 2 multi-purpose courts. We have more coffee shops than you can possibly use in a single week, and very, 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 very good staff benefits when it comes to the various restaurants on site. We have a fully fitted Vitality gym with the latest equipment. And as I said, it's actually a pretty decent place to work. It's one of the biggest items, or the biggest positive items of feedback we get with our staff engagement surveys. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit, maybe see if we can get some more. So here we have, every floor has got agile working areas like this. Some are bigger than others. They allow you to either have your lunch there or to get together with your team and collaborate. Interesting fact about this atrium here, it's large enough to fit the Boeing 747. I thought that was pretty interesting. That's one of the very many coffee shops. We actually have 2 Seattle coffee shops, not just one. Then we've got a Vita, a couple of Woolworths. Like I said, there's too many to mention. So that's just the aerial view. Let me move on from there. Cool. It's just the layout of the building, as I mentioned. These multi-purpose sports courts. This one here, that's in bright green in the center, is a basketball, 5-a-side soccer, and indoor cricket court, whereas the other one on the top left is primarily used for 4-a-side soccer. This is the partners that we have on site. I'm not going to go into this too much. Bottom line is that once you're on campus, there's very little reason for you to leave, and that's done by design. Obviously, we want to make sure that people are as comfortable as possible in the work environment. and providing them with as many facilities as we possibly can to ensure that they are comfortable on site. So this year is the 10th year that we are running with Gradhack. Quite exciting, given that our humble beginnings. I wanted to show you just a quick video of what the first prize was back in 2014. So this was the same type of event run on a much smaller operation, obviously. Trying to just mute the video. So this was the first prize, a useless box kit. I still have mine. I was fortunate enough to get one as well. And yeah, that is it. It's a $20 prize. So the good news is that given this is our 10-year anniversary, we've changed the prize structure for this year, and we're looking at giving all of our the top team members who are winning 12,500 Rand prize each. And then on top of that, if they are offered a role at Discovery and they decide to take that role, we're going to double that up to a 25,000 Rand per team member prize. As usual, the winning university also receives a small prize, 50,000 Rand, which they are then able to spend on anything that they see fit within their department. So the idea around the Gradhack, it's 3 days. Starts on a Friday afternoon, finishes on a Sunday afternoon. And what we want our students to do is to develop ideas, to develop a prototype based on one of their own ideas. The prototype needs to be a works-like prototype, which means I need to see code. I don't want to see presentationware. I don't want to see a faked interface. I want to see actual working code. At the end of the 3-day event, what we do is give you 3 ideas around what those 3 themes around what your ideas could be based on. We don't say that you have to use one of these, but this just gives you a push in the right direction if you're struggling to decide what to do. And those 3 themes are create moments of delight for our clients. And what that really means is, how do we take what we already have and make those products more personal on a mass scale for our members? So how do we use large data sets? How do we use AI? How do we use machine learning to take all of that information that we have about an individual and create personalized experiences en masse, right, with the millions of members that we have. Second one there is enhanced discovery products and services. So we have, as I said, we have a set of products. How do we make those products either operate better? How do we make sure that those products are able to be sold easier, serviced better, or actual products themselves? How could we improve on them as a product? And then finally, this is my favorite one, is how do we use technology to solve a South African problem? So, we live in a country with a certain set of issues, and we have a bunch of smart people and a lot of technology that could help, address some of those issues. To give you an idea, some of the ideas in the past that have helped address this issue was a real-time AI-driven pothole detection service, which, as you were driving, it was integrated with Android Auto. As you're driving along, it would assess the road ahead of you, pick up potholes, log that as is it a pothole, is it a shadow, is it a puddle? If it's a pothole, what is the depth, what is the severity? If it's severe enough, log that and then log it directly with the Ensure pothole brigade so that they can send someone through to have it fixed without someone having to manually input that information. So as I said, the event is 3 days, runs from the 5th to the 7th of July. The deadline for entries has been extended, as mentioned a little bit earlier, to the 12th of May. So we still have a few days to get those entries in. You need to go to gradhack.co.za in order to submit those entries. And really what we want from you is 500 or 600 word at most brief of what the idea is, which theme it falls into, if it falls into one of the themes, what technology you're looking at applying to address the issue, and how you feel like you are going to be able to manage to build out this prototype over this course of 3 days. Not a lot of effort for you to enter. We just need to understand, we need some information from you in order for us to be able to decide which students are going to be coming in this year. We've had I think somewhere in the region of 100 entries already. Don't let that concern you too much. We're very happy to have as many entries as possible so we can pick the very best. Excuse me. As I mentioned, the prize 12,500, double up if you decide to join us, 50,000 for the university. And then obviously, you know, there is a very, very strong chance that you may be offered a permanent role at Discovery from 2025, if you even attend the event, right? So it's well worth you coming and joining us at Gradhack. How am I doing for time? Because I've finished the details. I just wanted to quickly, this is just some of the previous Gradhack events and students. So the events themselves, they run virtually now. This was the event that we had. Sorry, this was the event that we had in prior to 2020. The first weekend, the event now runs virtually over those days that I mentioned. The top 3 students, or the top 3 teams of students, will then be invited back 2 weeks later in order to present in real life. We'll fly you up to Joburg, put you up in a nice hotel. We'll provide you with a mentor who will be able to help you refine your idea, refine your presentation, and also prepare you for the daunting task of presenting your idea in front of a panel of the various business unit CIOs, so a bunch of quite senior executives at Discovery who will decide on the final winning idea. You'll receive a goodie pack. You'll receive some Uber Eats vouchers for the weekend to make sure that you are fully fueled up and ready to go. And we'll also have a number of events running through the course. So I don't know why my slide keeps skipping. I'm not touching anything on my side. And we'll have a number of events to sort of break the monotony over the course of the weekend. I think this year we're having an escape room, we're having a comedian, and a couple of other items that we'll keep secret for now. Okay, so this was a team that won in 2021, Neurotech. If I'm looking at this team now, I know that Franco works in my team, and I think Rudy and Chris both work at Discovery too. This was a winning team from 2022. Their idea was a visual AI accident assessment tool, which could automatically detect the severity of an impact assessment on a vehicle and then order the parts automatically. This was last year's winner, which was the Hack Street Boys. They were looking at the self-sovereign identity space. They haven't joined us actually at Discovery. They've gone on to form their own startup, which sounds like it is becoming quite successful, and they've been funded already. And then our runners up from last year were from Stellenbosch. That is the end of my presentation. I hope that I didn't use too much time. Let me end that show.
Not too much. But
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much, Jamie, for that presentation. I'm pretty sure you'll have a couple of questions towards the end.
Perfect.
You can go ahead and introduce Lerato.
Fantastic. Okay, so next up from our side, we have Lerato, who's our test manager, and she will be taking you through some fundamentals around the testing process and how we apply it here at Discovery, and then also some of her personal learnings. Lerato, you think I spoke quickly? Lerato speaks faster than I do. But this is a group of 3rd year and 4th year students, so I'm sure you're all smart enough and you'll be able to keep up. So if you've got any questions for Lerato too, I'm sure you'll be able to put those in the chat, or we can use that time at the end of the session. Lerato, over to you.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're muted. We can't hear you.
I think she's still just getting her share up.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Sorting it.
Because it's Zoom, I had to go into my settings and give permissions and change a whole bunch of stuff and then restart my session. If you'd like, if you just want to email it to me, I can present and drive the presentation for you if you aren't able to share. Lerato sent it to me, so I'm going to bring it up. Just give me
Yes.
a moment. Right, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, go
We
ahead.
can see it.
Oh, so my name is Lerato, and I serve as the test manager at Discovery within the Systems of Engagement division. This year marks my 5th year with Discovery. I initially joined as a senior test analyst, and I've since been promoted twice. First as a test lead, and now to my current position. I oversee the quality assurance of the digital platforms, being the website, mobile apps, covering iOS, Android, and Huawei, as well as the virtual agent. My day-to-day involves managing my direct reports, fighting with developers, putting out fires, diversifying testing strategy and diversifying testing strategies. So my topic today is all about things quality assurance. Jamie, we can proceed to the next slide. I'll be introducing you to what quality assurance is all about, using the following aspects: what, why, when, where, how, and who. So what is quality assurance? Quality assurance, it is basically a process that ensures that products and standards meet specified standard processes. It typically involves a series of techniques that a company employs to prevent defects from occurring in products. Why do we perform quality assurance? We perform quality assurance to ensure that defects or products meet specified expectations, fostering collaboration and trust. It plays a crucial role in preventing bugs, defects, problems before they reach the customer, thereby leading to customer satisfaction, loyalty, and trust in the brand. When do we conduct quality assurance? We conduct quality assurance throughout the entire product life cycle, from conception to delivery and beyond. Basically, this happens, this is an ongoing process, while ensuring consistent enhancements and to ensure consistent quality. Where do we perform quality assurance? Quality assurance is conducted from a Discovery perspective. It is conducted on web, mobile, and web applications, as well as the virtual agent, commonly known as the chatbot. How is quality assurance conducted? Quality assurance is conducted by designing and executing tests, detecting and preventing defects, as well as ongoing maintenance. Who is responsible for quality assurance? From a quality perspective, everyone that is within the software development life cycle is responsible for quality. But from a quality assurance perspective, quality assurance analysts are responsible for quality assurance. Jamie, can you proceed to the next slide? Implementation process and components of a quality assurance matrix involves quality standards, testing procedures, risk management, and continuous improvements. Under quality standards, I will be touching on ISO standards. First, what is ISO? ISO stands for International Organization for Standardization. It is an independent, non-governmental international organization that publishes and develops voluntary international standards. What does ISO do? ISO develops standards for various areas such as quality management, environmental management, information security, just to mention a few, to facilitate trade, to ensure product quality and safety, and to promote innovation and sustainability. ISO standards play a crucial role in guiding quality assurance practices in various industries, including information and communication technology. Just to mention a few here, Discovery, we adhere to the following standards: ISO 9001, which is the international standards for quality management system. ISO IC 12207 is the international standard for software lifecycle processes. ISO IC 27001 is the international standards for information security management, and ISO IC 20000 is the international standards for IT service management. Moving on to testing processes, the following components, testing procedures, the following components make up our testing procedure: testing types, testing techniques, testing processes, testing tools, and automation. Cool. Under testing types, we perform the following types of tests: unit testing, which is testing that is conducted by developers. This is done as soon as new code has been written to ensure that a piece of code works as per the specification. Component integration testing is also another type of test that we perform. This is done as soon as a microservice has been developed and is readily available for us to test. This is done to ensure that communication between components is operational. And another type of test that we perform is system integration testing. This is conducted by test analysts. This is done as soon as test cases have been reviewed and our environment is readily available for us to test. We perform this type of test to ensure that the system as a whole works when integrated. Regression testing, another type of test that we perform. This is done after system integration testing has been reviewed and signed off. This is done to ensure that the system does not regress after a change has been introduced. And then last but not least, mob testing. This type of testing is not exclusive to test analysts. This type of testing can be conducted by anyone. And the whole purpose of this type of test is to just to try and find as many issues as possible. Testing processes, under testing techniques, first, what is a testing technique? A testing technique is a systematic approach or method that is used to design, execute, and evaluate tests to ensure the quality, functionality, and reliability of softwares and system. Testing techniques can be classified into either white box testing or black box testing. This is dependent on whether the tester has access to internal structures, code, or logic of the software or system. Classifying testing techniques according to white box testing and black box testing. And the white box testing, we have, just to mention a few, we have mutation testing, loop testing, path coverage, condition coverage, and under black box testing, we also have boundary value analysis, equivalence partition, decision table testing, and use case testing. Cool. Moving on to testing processes. Our testing processes is made up of 3 phases: planning, execution, and closure. Each phase is guided by specific entrance and exit criteria to ensure smooth progression. It is also important to know that the exit criteria of one phase serves as the entrance criteria for the next phase. To explain what happens within the planning phase, it's imperative to ensure that the entrance criteria has been met. For this phase particularly, this would be signed off user stories that we receive from a business analyst, followed by a test plan that will be documented by either a senior test analyst, a test lead, or a test manager. Following this, we then proceed to analyze requirements to extract testable requirements. And then once that is complete, we then proceed to design our test cases, test scenarios, which must also be signed off. The exit criteria for this phase would be signed off test scenarios and test cases. Moving on to the test execution phase, the entrance criteria for this phase would be signed off test scenarios or test cases, test data, and a stable environment that is readily available for us to use. During this phase, we would execute tests, record results, and validate the outcomes. Also, during this phase, we also adhere to the defect management life cycle in the event that we identify defects, and this involves tracking, reporting, and resolving those defects. And then the exit criteria for this phase would be signed off execution results. And then moving on to the last phase, which is the closure phase. The entrance criteria for this phase is signed off execution results. And throughout this phase, what would normally happen is that we would assess the outcomes, we document lesson learned, as well as compile reports. And then moving to the last component of the testing procedure, which is testing tools and automation. We follow the agile methodology, Scrum and Kanban to be specific. So Jamie, can you just point to those images at the bottom there? Agile, you can start with agile and then move to the right. Yeah, so agile is a methodology that we follow, Scrum and Kanban to be specific. The next image is that of Gherkin. Gherkin is our test case design framework. The next image, Jira X-Ray, is our test case management tool. The next image is Confluence. Confluence, this is where we document our processes where we track projects. We pretty much just document it. Can also serve as a repository as well. And then APM is the tool that we use for mobile automation. And then IntelliJ is the IDE that we use to house our projects, where we script using Java as our language. And then Selenium is our web framework, automation framework, web automation framework. And then Postman and SOAP UI, those tools we use for performing microservice or API testing. Moving on to risk management. What is risk management? I'll start off by first defining what it is. And in ICT Quality Assurance, it is a process of identifying, assessing, and mitigating risk that could affect the success of a project. It involves identifying potential challenges, evaluating the likelihood and impact, and implementing strategies to minimize the adverse effects on project objectives. Key components of risk management: risk identification, risk assessment, risk prioritization, risk mitigation, as well as monitoring. From a risk management perspective, we adhere to the following, or we perform the following: disaster recovery, classification of defects, according to severity and priority, risk-based testing approach. Just to touch on this disaster recovery and what it is, in simple terms, disaster recovery is in the event of a disaster or a disruptive event, how much of our vital systems and data can we recover? Cool. So just to just explain in terms of how we run the discovery from our end. So we have the network team that would handle the switch over from the primary side to the recovery side. The recovery side, ensuring a seamless transition. And then once this is successfully completed, they then inform the application team to confirm that the servers are operational. Once that is confirmed, testing begins. And from a testing perspective, we adhere to the risk-based testing approach, whereby we just perform smoke test. Testing would run for like an hour, and then once testing is completed, all lights are green, everyone is happy. The switch would then happen from the recovery side back to the primary side, and then the same process would follow. The application team must confirm that the servers are up and running. Testing would kick in. This type of testing normally happens during the weekend. It would start on a Saturday night and on Sunday morning. So yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much that's what happens in terms of disaster recovery. And then classifications of defects according to severity or priority. With regards to severity refers to the how badly that this defect affects the application or system. And priority refers to the timing. When should we be fixing this issue? And then under risk-based testing approach, we follow this approach in an event whereby we have a lot to do with very much limited time. So we'd follow the risk-based approach by identifying critical features, and from those critical features, we would then identify critical test cases. Moving on to continuous improvement. As mentioned, we adhere to the Agile methodology and using Scrum and Kanban, depending on which team you fall under. And Agile plays a critical role in continuous improvement regarding the following in terms of iterative development, adaptability, collaboration, feedback loops, and empowerment. Jamie, can you proceed to the next slide? So I'm going to be touching on the challenges and solutions in implementing quality assurance, and these are the challenges that I specifically went through. So with regards to point number one, that refers to a lack of understanding from the Agile Scrum team regarding the importance of QA, and then how we overcame that challenge in terms of educating literally everyone in terms of what we're all about, what we do, how we do what we do, when we do what we do, and really just the importance of its impact on projects. And then number 2, the next challenge refers to changing of requirements or scope creep during the software development lifecycle. And then in terms of how we overcame that challenge, we established clear requirements and scope early in the project and managed changes through proper change control processes. And then next point, address integration challenges in QA across diverse teams. That point refers to I think it's self-explanatory. And then the solution, obviously, this now boils to communicating, collaboration, and ensuring alignment with objectives. And then challenges in managing and prioritizing testing effectively. That is also another challenge that we went through. Solution to that, obviously, is to was implemented the risk-based testing strategy to focus on testing efforts and in high-risk areas and maximize testing coverage. QA is an afterthought. That is still a challenge even today. But essentially, it's imperative to promote QA, who we are, what we do, why we do what we do, and when we should be doing it. Oh, moving on to the next slide. How we QA. So we perform manual test and automation test. From a manual perspective, how we automate is that, as I mentioned, from our processes, we rely on signed off user stories for us to kick off our analysis. Once that is complete, we then document our test cases and user stories. Once all of that has been signed off, we then proceed to execute. So at the top there, you see a user story. Okay. I will answer that question. Sorry about that. At the top there, we have the user story on the top right. We have the user story. That's what a user story looks like. Yes, that is correct. And then BA stands for business analyst. That is the person that is responsible for documenting the user story. At the bottom there, we have TA. TA stands for test analyst. The test analyst would then be responsible for writing test cases or test scenario. What is a test case? A test case is a step-by-step process of testing something, and a test scenario is any functionality that can be tested. Moving on to automation testing. So essentially what would happen is anything that has been done manually and from a regression perspective would be handed over to the automation team for them to translate into script. So automation from within our space was introduced, I think, if I'm not incorrect, 2 years ago. And the reason for that was because we had a lot to do from a manual perspective and more so regression. We couldn't finish regression in time, and yeah, unfortunately, we just couldn't finish on time. And then automation came into the space, saving us time and money. Next slide, please. For emerging trends in quality assurance, we have shift left testing, system automation, artificial intelligence and testing, DevOps and agile practices and performance testing. So shift left testing essentially talks about integrating testing earlier in the development cycle to identify and address issues. And artificial intelligence in testing essentially refers to the solutions that are going to be used for test case generation, analysis, execution, finding issues and improving test coverage and accuracy. And then coming to automation, this one talks about automation tools, automation frameworks that are evolving to support continuous testing, enabling faster feedback loops and more efficient QA processes. And then I'm also going to be touching on performance engineering. Performance engineering is pretty much talks about how the system or the application will perform under duress. So we'd go about testing load, we'd test about its load and stress testing. And then last but not least, DevOps and agile practices. This one essentially refers to QA collaborating closely with developers and the operation team. And that is it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lerato, for that informative presentation. We will have a few questions for you at the very end, but to make sure that Viashen also has some time, I'm going to introduce him. Viashen Govender is actually an alumni of UKZN, but he studied engineering and not computer science, unfortunately. But yeah, we're going to let him talk about the transition from being a student into the working world. So Viashen, you can take it away.
Thank you. How's it, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. I think it's around the time where everyone starts fighting for DP at campus. So I sincerely hope that that's going well. Just tell you a bit about myself before I move on to my topic, which is my experience from moving from student to industry. My name is Viashen, and I'm a UKZN alumnus, now working at Discovery. I graduated last year in 2023, which is also the year in which I started working for Discovery. I studied electronic engineering at UKZN, and I'll actually soon be starting my master's also through UKZN. I'm currently working as a Flutter and iOS dev within Vitality RSA. Like the graduates that will join Discovery this year and next year, I joined Discovery through the Gradhack, which was an incredible experience, and I strongly recommend it to any engineering or comp sci student. I competed in the hackathon with my friends Leani Govender and Marcia Pillay, who are electrical engineers, and Amit Gangudea, who's an electronic engineer. They're also ready and waiting to take any questions you have in the chat, unless you prefer to wait towards the end, and then you could ask me live. When it comes from moving from student to industry, the experience will always be different for everyone. Some will find it easier than others, but in the end, it does work out. There's a major difference between working at university versus actually having a job and working for Discovery. What I can say is that Discovery does assist incredibly well in getting you accustomed to the work environment. Myself, and I'm sure many of my colleagues, went in under the assumption that we'd just be thrown into the deep end and not have a clue what to do. But that idea was very quickly tossed out when we actually started working. The people at Discovery are incredibly helpful and understanding, especially if you're new. You definitely do not need to know everything. Discovery makes it really easy for you to upskill in whatever you're doing. There's extensive resources available for upskilling, whether it's documentation made by Discovery or free access to Udemy courses. Growing into the role is extremely easy. For most of you that join, it would mean moving away from home and most likely having to live alone for the first time. For some of you, I'm sure that would be scary, but from the time you get offered the position till when you're actually here, there's nothing but excitement and a little bit of fear that you get from doing something brand new, which is normal, but that just adds to it. You really don't need to worry about making friends if that was one of your concerns. I was fortunate enough to have joined with many of my friends who I see many times a week. But I also made a bunch of new friends at Discovery. Some will be much older than you, but at Discovery, it's so welcoming that you really can't help but make friends with everyone. The tech space at Discovery is constantly changing to adapt to new technologies that make our products faster and development a lot easier. At Discovery, you need to embrace lifelong learning, whether you're brand new or whether you've been working for years. We're always learning new things. Having a strong programming foundation makes your life much easier. I know some of you may hate programming, as did I when I first started university, but it does become a lot easier if you put some effort into it. Lastly, I'd just like to talk about the work-life balance. I've got lots of friends from different companies, and I can 100% say it does not get better than at Discovery. You will have time for yourself, of course, as long as you are delivering what needs to be done at work. Yeah, I hope all of you apply to the Gradhack. It's an incredible opportunity, and it will be one of the most fun experiences you have throughout your university career. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those remarks, Viashen, and for sharing your experience with us. Just to reiterate, students, you can put your questions in the chat. If you're too scared to ask, if you want to ask a question live, then you can put up your hand and we will unmute you and you can ask it. There is a question here, Viashen, you can answer, and maybe, of course, you are a developer, so I'm sure you can answer this question. It says, what frameworks and languages/tools are used within the project lifecycle at Discovery? I think you've already talked about Flutter, and I saw Lerato talking about Java as well, but can you tell us a little bit more about the languages and technology that you guys use?
Yeah, sure. So with what I do, I'm a mobile app developer, so it really varies throughout Discovery depending on what role you're in. My tech stack is Flutter, and I'm an iOS developer as well. For our backend, we use Java. For our front end, obviously, HTML, Flutter, Swift for iOS, that sort of thing. And then, like Lerato said, Postman for our API and that sort of thing. But yeah, it'll really differ, like depending on where you are placed in Discovery, but there's a lot.
Okay, that's cool. And just a reminder from the PR team, I encourage students to ask questions. We will give 3 students a prize for asking questions, just some encouragement there. And for Lerato, I've got a question for her. I think Viashen mentioned that he didn't like programming so much when he started off. Lerato, I'm actually, I wrote the question down, so I'm looking for it so I can read it to you. Just a minute. Okay, yeah, given the fact that you've stayed in QA for so long, what do you enjoy the most about working in this area? And would you ever become a developer?
Can we come back to that question? Her laptop is just dying, so
Okay.
she's just getting her charger.
Okay, that's
But she
okay.
is very keen on answering.
I can't answer for her, but just to give an idea. So Lerato's been with us for 5 years. Excuse me. I've been with Discovery since 2007, and we actually have a fairly high number of people who stay with us for very, very long tenure. We've actually just completed our annual employment engagement experience. What do we call it, Sam? Experience survey. We see that
Employment engagement survey.
a lot of the positive feedback that we receive from those surveys speak very much to what Viashen has been speaking about too, is the level of support and like camaraderie, and the fact that you don't have to know everything. You can always ask a question and people will be there to help build up. So the general sort of culture is one of building up rather than, you know, pushing on. Like, it's not like a corporate rat race. It's, you know, we work in a high pressure environment as it is, and what we want to be able to do is just build products that are going to be valuable and useful for our member base. So I think what, you know, it's that general sense of, you know, we're in this together. We want to build great things. I think that's one of the things that keep people at Discovery for longer than the norm.
Okay, thank you for that, Jamie. I think we'll return to Lerato, but there's another question that
I can answer Faiza's question here too. So
oh, you can see it. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So the data that we collect, we collect a lot of data, like and host an awful lot of data. And we also have, and I'm not just gonna speak to how do we keep it safe, but I'll get to that. But we also probably have one of, if not the most mature and highly skilled set of data scientists and actuaries in the country, working on extracting value from that data, which is then pushed back into the product creation process. You know, what we do to keep that secure, we invest an awful lot of money, right? So I don't know whether, Sibonelo, can you hear the dogs barking in my background, or is it clear from my side?
No, I think it's clear. I think Zoom is filtering.
Perfect. Okay. So so we have a very quite a sizable information group security team who are responsible for a number of activities, I suppose. The first and foremost is ensuring that people can't get in, right? We need to make sure that our firewall and related environments are as strengthened as possible, and we monitor on a 24/7 basis attack vectors, right? So if there is a published weakness from any of the vendors that we use, those gaps are plugged immediately, so they become a P1 priority for the teams. And we also make sure on an ongoing basis, when we see attacks coming in, and we see them in real time, many of them on a weekly basis, and now I'm going to have to touch wood. We've yet to be breached, right? So I think that when I flippantly say we spend a lot of money, I mean that really is the case. I think the IGS is one of the smaller technology teams, should I say, but has one of the largest budgets. So we do take it very, very seriously. You know, I do understand, and we need to make it clear as well. The data that we collect, we are almost the custodians of it. It's our members' data. It belongs to them. We are just holding on to it. So we do need to make sure that we are, you know, very careful with that.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Jamie. I'm going to call on Zaid. I see he's got his hand up. Are you able to unmute yourself, Zaid, and ask your question?
You. I have a question for Jamie. Does Discovery, when you're applying, do they only consider students with a computer science or engineering background, or are degrees like, for example, like a Bachelor of Commerce in IT or Information Systems also considered?
So, Zaid, thank you for the question. My first degree is a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy. So no, we don't just take comp-sci and engineering. I think that we are very open to the idea that the degree that you study it proves that you have a certain cognitive capability, right? And also a certain attitude to sort of learning and to getting things done. Less important for us really is the type of degree. So we can teach you stuff, right? When you join at Discovery, as Viashen has said, you get given a lot of opportunity to learn the specific skills you need to do your job. What we are really looking for is people who are coming in with the right attitude, the can-do, sort of like wanting to take on and learn new things type of attitude, and who are going to fit well with the culture. Like I said, quite a high stress, you know, fast-paced environment. I think the people that join us directly from university, like hopefully some of you will, and Viashen has in the last year, you have yet to experience the how can I put it, the mind-numbingly dumb bureaucracy that you often experience in some corporates, right? Things happen a whole lot slower than they do at Discovery. So when you join us at Discovery, we're spoiling you for everything else, because you get used to working at a certain tempo with a certain level of excitement. You then go and work for one of the banks, and you realize how boring it can be. So we hire primarily, as long as you have a degree. That's one of our primary factors, certainly in these types of roles that we hire for in the tech space. As long as you have a degree with some level of association to either an analytical thinking, critical thinking, or other technical skills, we're not too concerned about whether it's a BCom or a BSc, etc.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And Courage, I can see Spacey here wants to ask a question, and Samin, I think I'm pronouncing your name wrong. You can please unmute yourself and ask the question. If you're too scared, then I'll read it out. But I really want to hear some voices from students. I enjoyed Zaid's comment. Okay, there you go. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. And then we'll have Spacey after you. Go ahead.
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can
hi
hear.
guys. Yeah, cool. Now it's pronounced Main.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, hi to Jamie and Viashen. So my question is regarding the rapid economic transforming factors. Like, I think COVID-19 seems like the standout event. So in terms of dealing with rapid economic triggers and these such shock events, right? If you look at the economy of the country when that happened, I mean, many industries shut down. The economy itself was basically at a standstill because it was more of a reactive approach as opposed to a proactive approach. So what measures are in place at Discovery to mitigate that? And besides the usual, I mean, as Jamie has said, besides the usual hybrid working situation where we work from home, etc. What's technically what is there to make it such that we got surety of that? Yeah.
Okay, it's a big question. I'll try to answer parts of it, I suppose. So I think one of the things from a business perspective, during the event, we made certain provisions around the equity invested into the organization, and the dividends that we didn't pay during the event, COVID-19, and it's the overflow from there, in order to ensure that we had sufficient funds to responsibly run and manage the organization. So this really isn't my strong suit, right? But the team are very, very conscious around the operational costs of the organization, and we rather took a short-term stance to make those provisions and reduce those dividend payments, etc., to ensure the longevity of the company beyond the event. So that was one piece. Then the other piece, more from a technical and operational perspective, when the event hit in March 2020, I think a lot of organizations immediately had to go from a very on-site, on-prem heavy operation to off-site, and that is a massive undertaking and massively expensive, which I think impacted on a number of organizations' bottom line for the financial year. We were in a very fortunate position that we were already provisioned to work in a hybrid manner across the majority of our environment, with some exceptions being the on-prem, like things that had to be there, like facility services, print room. Those individuals, obviously, they could not do, you can't do your work in a print room if you're not in the print room. And then some others where we could actually help out was we have a very large servicing center environment. We must have somewhere in the region of 3,500-4,000 servicing agents, vast majority of which prior to the pandemic were working on site, but we did have probably about 500 agents who worked remotely already. What we then had to do was just pivot to ensure that the remaining 3,500, 4,000 agents could also work from home, which we managed to do over the course of about 5 days. So I think that specific impact, economic impact on Discovery was limited because we were already well positioned to be able to move into that space.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Jamie. There's just one more question from a student. I know we're out of time, but maybe we can take like 30 seconds to answer it. Especially, are you here? Can you ask your question? It's been in the chat for long. If not, I'm going to read it for Spesihle because he may, but it says how to grow your, I think he's asking for some advice on how to grow your career in computer security as a computer engineer.
Yeah,
just some remarks on that, Jamie.
Yeah, so I can speak to that. And I see Farai also got his hand up. I'm able to stay around for a few minutes longer. So if anybody is willing to do so, they're more than welcome to stick around.
Okay,
so just
we'll
to
after this.
just answer Sibonele's question around cybersecurity. One of the first things is you probably want to be able to turn your camera on and speak up to ask your own question. Just kidding. I think it's the same with any career, right? So once you've finished your base degree, you're finishing now 3rd year or potentially 4th year, that is your foundational sort of learning. Once you get into the workspace, you're going to find the spaces within which you want to specialize. And those individual areas are going to provide you with both the on-site training and then obviously the mentorship that is required for you to specialize in that space, plus then the specific industry certifications that would be expected of you. So I think once you're in, and again, we had, I showed a picture of the runners up from last year. I just know that Sarah Ingram, the only lady on the runner-up team, she came straight in from Stellenbosch BCom IS, I think she did, straight into the IGS, our Information Group Security cybersecurity team. So now she's a graduate working in that space. So again, absolutely worthwhile coming in through the Gradhack program and then specifying where it is within the organization you would like to specialize. And then the last piece here, and this applies to all jobs, right? Make sure that you take every opportunity that is granted for you. If you get given an opportunity to go on training, take it. If you get given an opportunity to work on a project, but you're worried that it's going to cut into your personal time, I'm sorry, but if you want to progress your career, you must take it. You must take every opportunity that is presented to you.
Thank you for that. We've got Farai who's had his hand up. You can unmute yourself, Farai, and ask the question.
Good afternoon to Jamie, yourself, and everyone else, Bonelo. No, my question is, I had something interesting from Jamie. He said they've got the best team of actuarial scientists and data scientists that make sense of the data. But my question was, so do these guys have full autonomy on what insights they're looking for from the data? Or it's guided by the board and the management and stuff like that? So I just wanted to know what the process is. Is it from the board to the data scientist, or from the data scientist to the board?
It's a bit of both, Farai. I don't think that there is any one space at Discovery where anyone has true independence, but we do have an awful lot of autonomy. So with if there are specific items that the board is interested in, like increasing our cybersecurity posture, like increasing our ability to sell a product, right? Those are things that the board would have specific asks of those data teams for. But then in addition to that, those teams themselves have an awful lot of independence to provide insight back to the board. So we have a number of initiatives at Discovery. We have Inspiring Excellence, which is open to all Discovery employees, where anybody across the organization can define and develop an idea and then enter Inspiring Excellence. And then if they win, as a R1 million prize for that winning team. And to give you an idea, the Discovery Insure, the motor insurance product that we have, was an idea that was that came through that process. Then the other piece that we have that is it's open to anyone, but gee whiz, you need to have like an advanced degree in either actuarial sciences, advanced mathematics, or data science, or something to that effect. It's not something that I personally I have the capability for, but there is they call it the actuarial conference, and that is a similar type of event where you input data science specific projects or proposals into the competition, and then those then become those unique sort of data assets or data products that would be proposed to the board. It's not something the board is asking. We're asking these very smart people to come up with an idea and then work through that idea and do everything from the financial viability, the return on investment, the operational impact, etc., and then the product itself, and make a presentation through to the team, which then goes from the actuarial conference team goes on to the board as a recommendation of either new product or new operating standards. So I think it's, like I said, it's a bit of both. There's always opportunity for smart people to do smart things at Discovery. It's never dictatorial. We don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what we should be doing.
Thank you for that, Jamie, and also for highlighting the diverse set of skills that people at Discovery have, because we are a school of math, stats, and computer science, and we've also got engineers here. So I think the questions and the presentations that you guys have made have highlighted the diversity of skills that you guys have. Before I go to Bongani's hand that's raised, I'd just like to note that Samishta has answered my question about the criteria for judging the competition, for judging the winner. So I encourage people to go and look at the answer that she's posted in the chat. And I think Bongani is going to be our last question. Bongani, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi everyone. Hi Jamie. So Jamie, you mentioned something interesting regarding different fields of specialization. So as for someone who's doing like computer engineering, so computer engineering is just a basic degree with like encompasses like a lot of things, mainly like software and hardware. So like how can one like go about in choosing like which field to specialize on? That's my question.
Like where does your interest lie, I suppose, in the hardware space or the software space? Through Gradhack, I'll be honest, there are more potential opportunities in the software space, and when I say that, I mean both from an analyst and from a developer perspective than in the hardware space. Typically, and I suppose it's probably a bit of a trend across the globe, is we're moving a lot of our historical hardware environment into the cloud. So then it becomes more managed services than physical tin. So you're managing via software as a managing via like physical assets and cabling, etc. Yeah, I mean it very much depends, Bongani, on where your preference lies. I don't think we will tell you what you should or should not be doing. As part of the Gradhack process, once we finish the hack, there is an opportunity for each of the students to do like a speed dating type interview with a number of people across the group. So we get to know you a bit better, but then reciprocal to that is we have members or senior members from each area across Discovery that has open positions for graduates actually present on that area. And one of those would be TS, which is our technical services, which is the hardware, networking, and data storage environment. So they would come and speak to the students to say, this is the kind of work we do, this is the kind of environment within which we work. And then similarly, there'll be a representative from each of the business units presenting, what they do in their business space. I do one of them for systems of engagement, go into a bit more detail about the type of projects and type of technologies that we work on. So that might post Gradhack. the week after Gradhack, we go through that process of giving those, those information sessions on each of the specific technology areas within Discovery. That might help you to make a call, in which direction you would like to go. Yes, so Sipasile, are you allowed to pursue a master's degree? Absolutely. We have a bunch of people who actually already are. I did my MBA about 5 or 6 years ago. Absolutely encouraged for people to do ongoing education throughout their lives.
And there's a question just above that, Jamie.
Yeah, we haven't done this. So we've actually partnered this year with UCT to sponsor 3 honors degree projects for their honors degree students. I think there's 12 students that we're working with there. We haven't done it with a master's with a master's student, and I'll tell you why we haven't done it with any other learning organization other than UCT up until this point. Is every time we've been approached to sponsor a project, regardless of the level, there is always a question about who holds the IP at the end of the day. While we're working with we're working with you and we're giving you our data, we need to hold the IP. I mean, it's our info, it's our data, etc. And it's our time that we're investing. And UCT, we've contracted with them, they've opened that up now. So like all of the honors projects that they run, if they get an industry sponsor like ourselves, the sponsor then holds the IP. So we're running three projects. The idea there is that those will be run as pilots with things that we are interested in, that the students are interested in. Yeah, so we haven't, but I'm open to the conversation, right? I think we can take that, Sibonelo, we can take that offline and see, what opportunities there may be there for your master students.
Absolutely, thank you. And I'm going to just read out the very last question for Jamie. I want to respect their time. Thank you so much for staying afterwards, Jamie. But I think you can see the question from Avish.
Yeah. Okay. I can answer that. So just very quickly, how in-depth would the code implementations have to be? Does it have to be an actual working implementation of the area of research, or does it have to be a conceptualization of it? So that depends what you mean by conceptualization of it. We want working code. We don't want you to present what could potentially be working code. We want you to show us working code. And the whole idea of the Gradhack is that through the course of the 3 days, you carve out those items that you don't believe you're going to be able to deliver. So you just need to manage your scope through the course of the weekend. But I always said, so your presentation at the end of the weekend is only going to be 10 minutes, right? And we always say that it must be an absolute maximum of 5 minutes of slides, PowerPoint, and an absolute minimum of 5 minutes of displaying the working code that you have developed. Ideally, I'd like to see a full 10 minutes of, this is the product, this is the working code that we have. So we definitely want to see what it is that you have technically created over the course of the weekend. Now, it depends very much on what your proposal is. If you're coming to tell us that you are going to reinvent blockchain, for example, that's not something you're going to do over a weekend, right? However, if you're going to say we were going to use blockchain as a facility for claims process management in the health insurance and short-term insurance process, that is something that you could apply blockchain technologies to a specific use case. That's something that would make a potentially good prototype for Gradhack.
Thank you so much for the answers and the engagement, Jamie. And I've put in that URL there. I think as much as we can sit here and talk to the guys from Discovery, the best thing to do is probably to submit your idea, get your team together, and actually enter the competition, because that's when you'll be interacting with them directly, and you'd actually get to answer a lot of these questions, actually see guys from different technical backgrounds, learn how to use different technology, etc., etc. So I'll encourage everyone to go to that URL. I've pasted it in the chat, but it's www.gradhack.co.za. Please do go and submit your idea. And yeah, I'd like to thank everyone, especially our guests from Discovery, Jamie, Lerato, Viashen, and Samishta, who's been in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us this morning. And to you students as well, thank you for attending, and the PR team as well. So thank you, everyone. We will share the slides with you, and the next Tech Talk we'll have will be in August in the second semester. So keep your eye out for that announcement. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sibonelo.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Bye.